Hello again, everybody. Zach Attack Keys here at my WWE Raw review tonight, Monday, September 17th, 2012. Over tonight's Raw was another typical 3-hour Raw, especially the aftermath of Night Champions. We saw a couple of feuds develop and a couple of feuds continue to grow and grow as a possible rematch is set to happen soon. Probably at Hell in a Cell, as many people, including myself, predicted. Something was a slow going Raw, especially with football on, but it was okay Raw. Once again, good, bad, and ugly for Raw tonight, which kicked off with, of course, Jim Ross and JBL. Both of them are going to be taking over Jerry, but the JR and JBL on commentary this evening. As we kick off the show with Paul Heyman, talking about the controversial decision from last night's Night of Champions, which is possibly the catalyst for a possible John Cena CM Punk rematch. Of course, referee Chad Patton came out to somewhat defend his decision about both guys' shoulders getting pinned after Cena delivered a German suplex off the top, assuming Cena won the title, but both men, like I said, seeing the replay, both men were down, shoulders were down. So here comes John Cena. Tell Heyman, shut up, blah, blah, blah. And Cena was accused of being criticized for the decision. There was a fan-made video that apparently was taken down because of Cena. Cena's WWE. Cena's like, he doesn't question his decision. He respects the call, but it was upset that the match had to end the way it did, with it being a draw, a tie. And here comes a Bro Del Rio to insert his name into the hat. And he's like, Cena, stop crying. Look who's talking. He did the crying about the fact that the Bro Kick was banned and then was lifted the ban just minutes before the match, putting Alberto out of his game against Sheamus, blah, blah, blah. So here comes AJ saying that there'll be title rematch implications in tonight's main event, which would be Cena teaming up with Sheamus against Alberto and CM Punk. AJ said it will determine what title will get a rematch and who will be in that rematch. And of course, we all saw from that match ending. And I'll get to that in a moment. Now with that, we're on to our first match, which was a tag team match as Sin Cara teamed up with Rey Mysterio following their Fatal 4-Way last night, which they were teaming up with each other and teaming up against each other. They were, of course, pitted against another Latino tag team group like them. We got Primo and Epico. Decent opener to begin one night, very high-paced matchup with four very fast-paced guys. You can expect a very high-paced matchup. But I think Sin Cara needs to go, man. Sin Cara had a big build, but then he fucked it up by botching so much. Compare the reactions. Rey Mysterio is beloved. Despite some of the injuries for him, he's still beloved by the WWE Universe, yet you heard Sin Cara, same reactions last night. None. So despite the faster build Sin Cara, he's botched so much, fucked up so much, no one likes him anymore. But despite that, Sin Cara and Mysterio had a very decent high-paced matchup with Primo and Epico, which ended with, of course, Rey Mysterio delivering a double 619 to Primo and Epico before, of course, having Sin Cara deliver a big splash for the victory. But then, here comes the primetime players, still fuming after not being in the title match last night, getting screwed out of the number one title contention, number one contendership, thanks to AJ putting Kane and Daniel Bryan in the match. By the way, of course, we'll get to that rematch against Kofi and Truth in a few minutes. But the primetime players were to send a message to the tag team division that they are the true number one contenders and the next tag team champions. And they'll attack anybody and everybody until they get their way. Their opportunity was taken away. Now it's time for them to do the taking. And make money, money, make money, money, money. I like these guys, their attitude. They're a decent tag team too. So there you go. Sin Cara and Mysterio wins this tag match. Decent, fast-paced matchup. But of course, we're attacked in the end by primetime players, sending a statement to not just weigh in Sin Cara and also the new tag champs, but everyone in the tag team division that they are on notice. Now on to our next match, which was a non-title match between the new WWE Divas champion Eve with Layla and ringside taking on a woman we haven't seen in a while, Beth Phoenix. Now, this was a typical Divas match. I don't need to go any further comparing Divas, blah, 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 but it was kind of slow going, but of course Eve got the victory with Layla watching at ringside. And he got to roll up in the victory. It was a typical Divas match. It was okay, typical Divas match with, of course, Layla and Eve get into a confrontation. Speaking of possible rematches, that could be a possible rematch, Layla and Eve, because Layla's probably going to use a rematch clause like everybody else is. Maybe that match will take place next week, maybe at Hell in a Cell, who knows, but leaving Eve and Layla could get a rematch soon. Now, with that match out of the way, Divas match, shove it out of the way onto our next match, which was the One Man Band. Heath Slater taking on a guy like him was in a battle royal last night in the U.S. Championship number one contendership for this claim. Of course, returning after his dance with Naomi got suspended. Or was it Cameron? One of the dancers got suspended. That's why you haven't seen Borders in a while. Anyway, Heath Slater was trying to do his best, but of course, taking on a big guy like Borders Clay would get a big loss. And indeed, Slater was on the offensive, but indeed a headbutt from Borders Clay got Heath Slater walked before the big splat for Borders Clay. 1-2-3 victory for Borders Clay. It was a squasher, decent match, but it was a squash. So now we're on to our next segment, which was a new talk show, Miz TV, hosted by who else than the reigning Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. Now I've seen all the other talk shows, Piper's Pit, Highlight Reel, Where It All Show, The Cutting Edge. All of them are great talk shows. Miz's initial show, the first initial episode of the Miz TV, which by the way was kind of a slap in the face to MTV, the network that made Miz a star before coming to WWE, of course, real one and all. Snooze fest. No wonder my friends were saying boring. We had Miz talking to himself about setting up Booker T was his first guest. Of course, we know Miz has been very vocal about Booker T, saying he would file a complaint against Booker T after being put in the Fatal 4-Way last night and eventually winning it. And he wouldn't give Booker T a warning edgewise. Every time he'd ask a question of Booker T, would put it to Booker T's face, but post the microwave. That's why people think it was boring. Pittsburgh, Connecticut found was okay tonight, by the way. Booker T finally got the mic. He said that Miz likes challenges. Well, here comes Ryback. Ryback's apparently teasing a feud with Miz. Finally, Ryback's in a real actual feud against a big star, not a jobber like Jinder Mahal guy. So Ryback came in and basically destroyed Miz TV set, sending a message to Miz. So possibly we're going to see a possible feud between these two develop. There was like the start of it tonight, but we'll probably see it develop in the next couple weeks on Raw and SmackDown between Miz and Ryback. But like I said, Miz TV has a long way to go to be considered as one of the best talk shows up to the levels of great talk shows in WWE history, like the Piper's Pit, like Highlight Reel, and the Cutting Edge. This initial episode was not the best. Maybe it would improve over time, but we'll see how Miz TV will develop into a decent show that, like I said, will belong in the same level as the other WWE talk shows in the past. You forgot a couple other shows, including Carlito's Cabana. Forgot that show. That talk show, WWE, that was a decent one. Maybe not the same level as Piper's Pit, Highlight Reel, and Cutting Edge, but Carlito's Cabana was a decent talk show as well. So there you go. Miz TV debut. Now on to our next match, which was between, I think it was it a tag team title match? Or was it, I think it was Santino Morella taking on Dolph Ziggler. Of course, Dolph Ziggler was coming from his loss against Randy Orton last night, who also wrestled tonight. So, Dolph Ziggler was on the offensive for most of the match. Of course, Dolph wanted to not cashing in Money to Bank last night. Of course, still heel chance. Let's Go Ziggler chance for him. And Santino was trying for the Cobra, but Ziggler already got it, grabbed it out in an okay match between him and Santino. Santino was ready to go for the Cobra, but Vicky Guerrero had it after Dolph tossed it to her. With Vicky distraction, Ziggler took the advantage and got the zigzag for the victory in a decent, okay matchup against Santino. Because Ziggler's the show off and a big star in the making. I smell you eventually cash in Money to Bank eventually, but when? Who knows? Rumors of him cashing in last night turned out to be false. Now on to our next match, which was Wade Barrett, who just returned from an injury, taking on his former Nexus member, fellow former Nexus member and core member, Justin Gabriel. I did see some Nexus shirts in the crowd before, like during the beginning, and there was some "We want Nexus" chants. We want Nexus. We don't want Nexus, man. There was a good concept that got watered down at the end, especially with Punk joining. Of course, that was the catalyst for, of course, the infamous pipe bomb heard around the world. So Gabriel and Wade Barrett, kind of a slow-paced matchup, especially with a guy like Gabriel, but decent brawling match. Of course, Wade Barrett dictated the match in his hard, grueling, brawling style, his hard-hitting style, a la William Regal, many other hard-hitting guys from England. But Wade Barrett wants to be back up in the afternoons of where he left off. You know, Wade Barrett was destined for greatness, destined for a big spot, and that's why they didn't have WrestleMania Money in the Bank this year, because they wanted Barrett to be champion. He got injured. He was supposed to be Mr. Money in the Bank, but indeed Wade Barrett's trying to climb his way back to the top, and he got the victory over Justin Gabriel after a short arm smash for the victory. Not his signature move, the Wasteland. Of course, the Barrett Barrage is back on track as Wade Barrett tries to get himself back up to where he was when he got injured. A prominent star ready for the big push in the big title. So Wade Barrett wins in an okay matchup against Mr. Justin Gabriel. Now it's time for a tag team title rematch from last night's Night of Champions. It is the dysfunctional odd couple, Kane and Daniel Bryan. I love the Disneyland signs, by the way, after Kane said, "I'm going to Disney World." Then goes in a rematch against Kofi Kingston and R-Truth. Once again, Kane and Daniel Bryan's problems with each other continued. Blind tags, pushing each other, shoving each other at Truth and Kofi were cohesive. But once again, Daniel Bryan and Kane pull a rabbit out of the hat and retain the tag team championships with another shoving match, which ended with Daniel Bryan pushing Kane into the lie detector, the possible pin, but Bryan kind of tried to make up for it by breaking the count. And then after that, we saw a choke slam by Kane. I think it was a choke slam finish. Actually, it wasn't a choke slam finish. After Daniel Bryan broke the count for Kane, Daniel Bryan got the no lock on R-Truth. And of course, that's when Daniel Bryan and Kane retained the tag team titles. And despite hugging, they of course still say that I am the tag team champions. There's no I in team, but Daniel Bryan and Kane are active with fuel as Daniel Bryan and Kane, since they're individuals, not a tag team. They in their mind are individually the tag champs. So there you go. And before I get on with the next match, there was a segment before this. Cheap plug as can anyone can get in the post DX era of WWE with the cheap plugs from DX. Cheap plug from Subway with Jared Fogle giving out sub sort of WWE superstars, including, yes, funny and awkward Ryback. Get it? Feed me more, give him two. Where he took one. Well, Jared gave him one, but he took another one, so there you go. Selling segment with Chad from Subway. Of course, Daniel Bryan and Kane retain the titles, but they're still, in their minds, individually, the tag champs. Now on to our next match, which was Randy Orton against Tenzai / Albert. Now, Tenzai had a wall, and now he's like he's like a jobber now after dominating the early half of his reign in WWE. But of course, problems were made with him getting pinned a lot, especially with Randy Orton, who is John Cena Jr. I think there was the typical, at Cena matches you hear that we let's go Cena sucks chants. Or during Orton's match you heard something I don't hear often, which is let's go all in. Orton sucks. Cena and Orton have a lot in common. In the early years, they were both more athletic than they are now. When they first came here, they were young and hungry and had great moves. They had more moves than they do now. And now they're both monotonous with their characters and their moves. They're both the same and they both deserve the same treatment. Mixed receptions of boos and cheers. But despite that, and Tenzai mostly dominated with his weight, Orton got the victory anyway with the two moves of doom, the three moves of doom, the power slam, the DDT, and of course the RKO after trying it twice. First attempt failed, but he got the second attempt. 1-2-3 victory for Randy Orton. Feeling up momentum after beating Dolph Ziggler, Mr. Money in the Bank last night in an OK matchup at Night of Champions. The only non-title match at Night of Champions. So Orton got the victory over Tenzai. Now our next match, which was the Martyr, as he called himself, Damien Sandow, taking on my man, woo woo woo, you know it, Zack Ryder, trying to get back momentum after losing to Antonio Cesaro last night at Night of Champions. Unfortunately, Ryder didn't get back on the win column, despite getting a little bit of advantage in the end with the Broski Brute. Damien Sandow recovered in time for his big move in the victory against Zack Ryder in a little bit of a Pump 2 match after Zack Ryder interrupted Damien Sandow's back-to-school vocabulary lesson he was teaching the WWE Universe. So, great to see Ryder Raw. Okay matchup with Sandow, but of course Sandow gets the victory. Now on to our tag match, which was CM Punk teaming up with Alberto Del Rio against John Cena and Sheamus. Now CM Punk delayed the match again by posing with the title the same way he did last night. But unlike his last tag match with Dolph Ziggler, he didn't walk out on Alberto. But of course he kind of refused to get in with Cena. But it was an okay tag match, of course. The ending building towards a possible rematch for the WWE title per se. Of course, Sheamus and Alberto may get a rematch eventually. But of course, it was all about Cena and Punk, who ended the match with Cena dominant with the "You Can't See Me" attempt. But of course, Cena was about to get kicked in the head by Punk, which Cena turned into an STFU. But of course, Alberto broke that up and got a bro kick for his helping by Sheamus, which gave Cena the FU on CM Punk. But another weird ending happened as Cena got the pin and the win, but CM Punk's won. CM Punk's leg was on the rope. Referee didn't see it. Of course, once again, CM Punk was doing the argument with the referee about his foot on the rope, blah blah blah. Another screwy decision, building more momentum for the Cena Punk feud storyline, which is of course now kind of guarantees Cena a rematch after he ended the WWE Championship despite another weird finish with Cena getting the pin with Punk's foot on the rope and referee not seeing it. But indeed, this feud's building up day by day after the ending last night and the ending of tonight's match. We all know now it's evident that Cena and Punk will have a rematch. Of course, I'm assuming in Hell in a Cell at the pay-per-view entitled Hell in a Cell. So they go kind of a slow-paced war, but of course we saw Cena Punk feud developing more. Possible feud between Miz and Ryback for the IC Championship building. Of course, way back on the comeback trail, part-time players sending out a statement to people wanting their tag team title match and all that. So they go decent, slow war, but what can you say? That is it for my Raw review of tonight. See you later. Then Monument Act by the review of Zach. Thank you very much for watching. See you later. Yeah.